In this game, you will run your very own shop in a magical fantasy land. Merchants of Rosewall dropped last week and we got to get a look into it. So in this video, we're going to be talking all about the game, everything you need to know, and whether or not we recommend playing. The game kicks off with you starting out your new life in Rosewall, the city of Rosewall, where you come on as a merchant through like a merchant government program, I guess is the best explanation for it. So you are brought there specifically to run your own shop and you're given help from the local government to get it up and running. You're given your shop so you can pretty much just go nuts and do what you want with it. But there isn't a whole lot of customization options to the actual shop itself. You pretty much play as like a manager in this game. So you hire on different crafting people to craft items for you to sell in the shop. So you don't physically craft the items yourself, but you get your employees to craft them for you. You start off with just one kind of specialty, which is cooking. As you progress, you'll unlock different types of crafting. So you will be able to craft with like stone and wood and fabric and different things to create different products. Each product will sell for a different amount and will require different ingredients to craft. So it's very heavy in the crafting side of things. So if you love crafting games, you will probably get a lot of satisfaction from that side of the game. To be able to craft things, you have to go to the local markets and purchase all of your raw ingredients. So there's different vendors there that specialize in different ingredients. So you'll need to visit each one, purchase your ingredients, take it back to your shop, craft the items, stock the items on your shelf, and then open your store. I really like the shopkeeping side of this game. I think the crafting is really fun. I liked that you had to go and buy the raw ingredients from the markets and that there was different events on that might mean that some ingredients were more expensive or less expensive. I really liked the mechanics of that shopkeeping crafting side. On the story side of the game, it essentially is this kind of mystery, and there are these little memory motes, I think they're called, in the game, which are basically these like little magical orbs that float around and you accidentally swallow one and get pulled into a memory. And that shows you this history of this mystery town. And you kind of follow along on that journey to uncover what these memory motes are, what they mean, where that town was, how those memories are getting to Rosewall, and all of the like history and the mystery and everything around that whole situation. So you interact with quite a few different characters, and a lot of them are on the quirky side and make for a really interesting interaction. You do get to have a lot of choices in how you handle different dialogue situations, which is cool. And yeah, you just kind of follow this story along as you play. One thing I didn't love so much about this game is that it felt quite disjointed between the story and the shopkeeping side. A lot of the story events happen seemingly randomly. So you will just start the next day and then all of a sudden you're drawn into this big story episode and then you have to go through and do specific things. It's very rigid in the gameplay. So you're either running your shop or you're progressing through story things, and it's done in a way that doesn't give you a lot of choice. You don't get to choose how you interact with the story. It was also a bit disjointed because you never really knew when the next story thing was coming up. It wasn't like you had to complete a quest and then the next story would kick off. It was pretty much just, oh yeah, this might happen today, it might not happen, I don't know. It was definitely interesting, but it did make it feel quite disjointed. The gameplay overall does feel quite rigid, and it's very much based on like your timings and whether or not you level up your shop as to when you can get new things. You're not able to just go and hire whoever you want. It's very segmented, and there's specific characters that you are allowed to hire at specific times, which I felt was a little bit frustrating. It kind of meant that you couldn't specialize in specific areas. You're basically here, you get what you're given, and that was a little bit rigid. I would have liked to have seen a bit more flexibility in that side. One thing I did pick up after playing for quite a while is that your characters actually level up, and when they level up you're given a point to allocate to a skill of your choice. So through that system you can get different characters up to different levels, so they could be a second in cooking or a second in metalwork or a second in stonemason or whatever you want. But that is a long and slow process, and it's not made very clear in the tutorial that I saw. I would have liked a bit more freedom to specialize in specific areas and to really be able to like nut out, okay, I want to focus on cooking, I want to focus on this, I want to focus on that, rather than just being able to create random things and sell the most random assortment of things ever in your shop. The pacing was really good in this game. There was not a lot of time when you didn't feel like you could do something. So whether you were involved in the story stuff, you could skip through the dialogue at your own pace, and that was really good. And then in the shopkeeping side, you were either crafting, and then the actual shop open time wasn't very long, which I think is good. So it really has a good pace. You don't get bored. You kind of just keep going with the pace, and it felt really good to play. The only thing about the shopkeeping side that I would have loved to see added is more of a financial overview. There's not really any way to tell how much an item is going to cost you to craft easily, unless you like literally write down how much each individual ingredient costs and then work out if it sells for more than that. So I think being able to see more of a profit and loss, see more of a financial overview of how much everything costs, how much everything sells for. This does change day to day, which I think is great, and there are different market trends as well, which, you know, influence this, but I would have loved to be able to see it on paper a bit easier rather than having to feel like I was doing math in my head. The design of the game is stunning. All of the characters are beautifully illustrated. The music and the soundtrack is beautiful and matches perfectly with the world. I liked how they set the scene for different environments too, so the music changes when you go to the market, to your shop, to the guild, or all the different locations, the music changes. I think that was really good. And the design overall really nails that fantasy theme that you want. It really feels like you're playing in this fantasy world, which is really, really cool. Overall, Merchants of Rosewall is a pretty solid game. It's very fun to play. The story is there if you really want a jam-packed fantasy visual novel kind of story feel. And the shopkeeping and crafting side is there too for those who like the more management side of the game. I would love to see a bit more of a kind of meshing of the two and a bit more freedom to choose how you interact with the story and the shopkeeping, so you can focus more on the story if you want to, or focus more on the shopkeeping if you want to. But apart from that, this is a game that is really fun to play. So would we recommend checking this one out? Yeah, we would. It's pretty fun, especially if you love fantasy and you love management type games. Have you played Merchants of Rosewall yet? If you have, we'd love to know what you think, so let us know in the comments below. If you're looking for more indie game recommendations, click here. And until next time, stay caffeinated.